All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Forrest Wilson, and welcome to the Our Emerging Future Masterclass. I'm very excited to share this with you. I have been, I've had the privilege of traveling around the world over the past months and years. It's currently December of 2022, December 5th, 2022. I've had the opportunity to share this talk with folks all over the world who are open and interested and curious about how we can be available for a more beautiful world to be born, a more beautiful future for all of us to enjoy together, for our children and for our children's children and for generations to come to enjoy. And we have a group of people, an increasingly growing group of people who are coming together to actually do the work to bring this into being. Not just dream about it, but to actually do what's necessary to change the world and create a more beautiful world together. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to share this with you. I'm going to go ahead and dive in. Welcome to Our Emerging Future. So Our Emerging Future. As I said, I've gotten to travel the world for a while sharing this. And what I really want you to leave here with today is, number one, a possibility-oriented vision for humanity. Specifically, I really, in my life, one of my experiences has been that we get more of what we pay attention to. And so by focusing on what we want to create and having the discipline to be, to put our attention into what we want to see flourish, really amazing stuff starts to happen. The second thing I want you to leave here with today is an understanding of trauma and an awareness of how trauma plays out in the world and in our life. This trauma-aware perspective is incredibly important for me. And helps us understand how some aspects of the unseen world are playing out in our life experience. Just taking a note here to circle back to that at one point. And the third thing is connection to this collective of people I mentioned who are bringing this vision and this new world into being. I want you to I want to welcome you into it if you feel inclined, if you feel resonant, and maybe some excitement, some aliveness around getting to join other visionaries and dreamers and healers and change makers who are doing the work now to bring our future into being. And as I said, it's a growing collective, so would love to have you join if that is of interest to you. So what I want to do is I want to start and just give an overview of where we're going to go in this conversation today. This won't take more than an hour. It's likely going to be 30 minutes. Invite you to just sit back and relax and enjoy and really just take this in and receive I want to say the good news about what's happening in the world. And just relax and receive. So I want to speak a little bit about where are we and what's happening in the world today, where we might go, and the shift in perspective that's invited in that, the implications of the shift, then downloading our future, resolving our past, and how we actually integrate this, how we're emerging the structures, the cultures, the systems, the institutions, the technologies, the incubators, the ways of being to bring this online on our planet more fully right now. So I'm going to start with, where are we? The big thing I want to say, one thing we do in our in our ecosystem, in our community, is we look at humanity as a superorganism. So if you look at every single human being as a cell in the body of the superorganism of humanity, we just take this perspective often and go, what's happening in this larger whole? What's happening in humanity right now? A lot of us see humanity developmentally as kind of like a 17-year-old teenager who's had a tough time growing up, and is at like, and humanity is a superorganism. We collectively are in this inflection point, this threshold to step into a new level of maturity, a new level of development, a new worldview and way of doing things, with each other and in relationship with life, with the planet, with consciousness itself, with the universe. And so in that, we're looking at where are we in terms of, in these transitions, in these transitions, there's often an experience of breakdown. We talk a lot in our ecosystem about breaking down to break through. And so as we look around on the planet today, again, I said it's December 5th, 2022 today, there's a lot of old systems and structures and institutions and ways of being that are breaking down all over the planet. So what we see is the breaking down of these systems is actually something we can celebrate as the breakdown. If we can be the space for the breakdown to happen and for what's wanting to emerge to come online. So if you look at the leading edge of a lot of the, I'm going to use air quotes, good work being done on the planet, a lot of people will point to the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, which I have an image of here. And a few years ago, in 2019, I was leaving the startup world. I spent my 20s working in startups. I knew I was leaving the startup world to pursue transformation on a planetary scale. And I thought to myself, maybe what I'll do is I'll create a list of the top problems in the world, and I'll pick the one I'm the most passionate about, and I'll go and solve that problem. For me, that was likely going to be education or healthcare, but the list was really robust. I mean, mental health, terrorism, poverty, climate change, terrorism, the list, I think there was over 100 things on the list. And I invited other people into the process of fleshing out the list with me. And I want to say it backfired in a way, or it was distorted in a way, because what happened was things got a little janky. People started arguing, climate change isn't real, or genders aren't supposed to be equal, and these kinds of things. And I had a moment of like, gosh, this isn't what I was intending when I created this list, right? Like I really felt like I was coming from a good place, coming from the heart of, I want to help here. How can I help? Well, I'll create a list of top problems and pick one to solve. And then I had this awareness that an experience that I've had in my life of we get more of what we pay attention to, and how we orient, and the way that we are with our experience, how much that matters. And so by creating a list of the top problems in the world, I was necessarily creating more problems. And I see this when I look at the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, if you just look at this image, SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 2, no hunger. These are problem oriented, right? Poverty's the problem, hunger's the problem. We need to get rid of these and make them go away. And my experience has been that doing this we get more problems. And so what I'm seeing and what we are seeing, our collective and our ecosystem, like I said, increasingly growing number of people who are starting to change perspective in how we view the world, is that by shifting to seeing what we actually want to have happen instead of what we want not to happen, a lot of magical things come online, a lot of new possibilities emerge. So we took this list of top problems in the world, and we created a new list that is possibility oriented and is a creative vision for the future of humanity and for consciousness that we call emerging probabilities that temporarily seem impossible. I know that's a mouthful. Emerging probabilities that temporarily seem impossible. The shift is into what we actually want to have happen. So our first emerging probability, instead of getting rid of poverty and getting rid of hunger, the first emerging probability is that basic survival needs are met for every human being on the planet. That's our emerging probability number one. And in that, there's really nothing about the human experience that doesn't shift if basic survival needs are met for every human being. The human experience shifts from being rooted in survival and fear into thriving. We shift from surviving to thriving. And really, if anyone here has ever seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we extrapolate, or we imagine that if we meet basic survival needs for every human being, that a lot of the experience of being human and a lot of what life becomes about is, can we meet the needs that we have as human beings as they grow in increasing order of complexity and nuance and subtlety? Can we go beyond just survival into love and belonging and self-actualization, finding our calling in life, connecting to our gifts, our innate gifts that we carry, our passions, and get to share those with the world just for the innate joy of doing so and to be of service to others and the planet? What kind of civilization might we create together? How can we use technology to regenerate the planet? What kind of cultures and ways of being and interrelational practices do we want to have to support the flourishing of human beings as we continue to open up to and embody more fully the truth of the beauty we all are in this moment? So we see as we shift into possibility, that it opens us up into a new way of being, ultimately. And so the invitation, I was recently on maybe a year ago, on a amazing show called Portals of Perception, which I highly recommend you check it out. You can see their website here. And they quoted me from our podcast episode saying, take a breath, pause in possibility, and dream a new world into being. So that's my invitation to you from me right now. And when this quote was captured maybe a year ago, check out Portals, awesome program. And yeah, let's, in this moment, just take a breath. And just dropping deeper into stillness, connecting to pure possibility. And from here, we can dream a new world into being together. Feeling really grateful to have you here. So I mentioned emerging probabilities, the North Stars for the future that we want to create together. Like I said, this is a creative oriented, possibility oriented vision for humanity and the future we want to create together. When you're finished watching this masterclass, you can scroll down on the Our Emerging Future website. Or if you're not on if you're watching this somewhere else, you can go to ouremergingfuture.com and click on emerging probabilities, and you can read about each one of these emerging probabilities more fully. see which ones resonate with you most. But we're looking at what's the new experience that's wanting to come online on the planet right now, and into the future. We're looking several generations, hundreds and thousands of years into the future, and seeing what, with basic survival needs. And by the way, let me just pause for a second. I just want to invite everybody to notice that right here, right now, in this moment, we can meet basic survival needs for every human being on planet Earth. We're not lacking technology, resources, know-how, nothing, nada. There is nothing in the way of us meeting basic survival needs for every human being on the planet. Hallelujah. Woo! How exciting is that to hear? So what's happening? What's happening is we have these systems and institutions set up on our planet that are oriented towards different ends. Maybe it's profit, maybe it's efficiency, maybe it's whatever, but it's not oriented towards meeting basic survival needs for every human being. And most people in the world who are doing good work, in air quotes, are attempting to fix these broken systems. And so what we're saying is, look, right here, right now, today, we can meet basic survival needs for every human being. If we do that, there's nothing about the human experience that doesn't shift. From education to the future of work to the destiny of humanity, everything about our experience shifts. And so we just keep stepping out into the unknown terrain of what might be invited as we download this future more into this moment. So that's emerging probabilities. This project started in 2019, and I got so excited. Here's this possibility-oriented vision for humanity with one illuminating awareness of, we get more of what we pay attention to. All we need to do is shift our perspective from problem to possibility, and we can create the world we want to see. Woo! Yeah. So, in my naivete and in my enthusiastic state, which I can oscillate into and out of in time, I called up all my friends and my loved ones from my startup days. Like I said, I spent my 20s in startups. So I called up all my most brilliant friends who I experience as creative and innovative and heart-centered and open to new things. And I got everyone together, and I started convening calls to explore these emerging probabilities. And could we create an incubator? Could we create a startup ecosystem where we could bring this future into being, where we could actually build this together? So we did that. And this was going right into the context of COVID, which happened I'm in the United States. Today I'm in Eagle Mountain, Utah. I live in Boulder, Colorado. And in early 2020, I was traveling through Brazil, and then COVID hit. And as I was convening these calls, something was happening, which COVID brought online even more fully. And what was happening was, as we all opened up into this larger field of possibility and this potential that we can create a new reality together and dream a new world into being together, opening up into this larger field of possibility, what we experienced is all the unconscious aspects of ourself came out into the light of this field that we opened up to. And all of a sudden, what was arising in our experience was, guilt, shame, not enoughness, experiences, ways that we self-dampen, and constrictions, restrictions, adhesions in our consciousness that we were allowing to prevent us from opening up into our potential, into our future. So I said that it's important for me that you have a trauma-informed perspective after this masterclass. So I just want to take a moment here and speak about trauma. So for me, I define trauma as residual or residue. And what I mean by that is we have healthy stress in our life when we're able to manage the amount of stimulus that we're experiencing. That's a growth zone. Trauma happens when the experience we're having in this moment is too much for us to process while it's happening. So there's residue or residual experience for us to process and metabolize and integrate when we feel resourced and capable and available to be with what we couldn't be fully with in the moment it was happening. So in our personal life, this might be as a child, right? For example, we have an experience that's too much for us to be with in the moment it's happening. And then later on in our life, say maybe we're 30 years old, we go into therapy, we revisit the experience we had when we were 4 or a newborn baby or 7. And we be with it in a way and from a different place that we're able to actually complete the moment that has been playing in us for these 30 years minus 4, for example, the 26 years between when it happened at 4 years old and the moment we're in therapy working with it at 30. And so what happens is when we have these residuals that are residue from an experience that was too much for us to happen, those traumas can be triggered anytime, anywhere in this moment now. They are processes, they are moments, they are happenings that are still happening. They're moments that have been potentiated and not fully fallen back into formless. And so they're still playing out in our life experience. We're walking the same road over and over and over again until we actually complete the moment, right? We actually bring it through to resolution. The residue, the residual falls back into formless, and then we have a new moment, right? We have a new experience. And the more we start to relate with trauma this way, our perspective with space and time shifts because we really understand how the past and the future are happening now, right? We really realize and come into relationship with how any incomplete moments from our past where we have these residuals and residues still occurring are still happening in us somewhere in the fabric of our being, somewhere in our body, somewhere in our psyche. They're still happening right now and playing out in our life experience. And the more that we complete these experiences, the more we're available for our future to arrive and manifest in this moment here now. And so what we found is, and I mentioned COVID, and so what I want to name is that not only were we all having this happen individually, where we were all the unconscious aspects of ourself and any personal traumas coming out into the light of the awareness that we opened up to in this possibility-oriented field, but also catalyzed by COVID and just the field that we were in, all the familial, all of our family traumas, ancestral traumas, cultural traumas. And in the context of COVID, and from where I sit, in my opinion, what really happened is hundreds of thousands of years of human history, right? That's unprocessed, came out into the light of that's been happening here underneath the surface the whole time, right? We might not have been available to be with it as we were running around in the hustle and bustle of modernity, but in the context of COVID, which really rattled what we considered normal at the time, all of a sudden, all these things that were happening underneath the surface came up to be seen and loved and heard and felt and integrated. So yeah, humanity's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, and it's been traumatizing. We've had war, human trafficking, slavery, colonization, racial injustice. You can see pictures here of pollution on the planet. There's quite a bit of unprocessed past that we have as as humanity. So we talked about the superorganism of humanity, how it's like a 17-year-old who's been through a lot. Well, the 17 is a developmental orientation, but humanity has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. You know, we were hunter-gatherers for hundreds of thousands of years, and then about 6,000 years ago, we had the agrarian revolution, then we had the industrial revolution, then the invention of the internet, the discovery of the internet, and now we're in another inflection point, in my opinion, which is the consciousness or the healing revolution, right? Where there's a whole new world that wants to be born right now. And as we open up to this possibility in this new world, we are confronted with our unprocessed past, and we've got a lot of it. So we the same way as a 17-year-old person, or maybe later in your 20s, you might start to see that, oh, how I see the world is a product of the context of which I was raised, right? If I grew up in Virginia in the United States, I'm going to see the world objectively, in air quotes, differently than someone from Shanghai, differently from someone from Nigeria, differently from someone from Brazil, because of the context with which we were raised, because of the culture and the institutions and the way we grew up. That shapes the way that we, in air quotes, objectively experience reality. And so as humanity, as a superorganism, the experience that we've had over hundreds of thousands of years shapes the way that we experience reality. So this was a challenge that I was not foreseeing. Inviting folks into dreaming a new future into being. And I had like I said, I feel like a young, innocent, naive orientation of, oh, all we need to do is just focus on what we want to create. And here we go. I really was invited into not only my own personal trauma work and healing work and working with my own unconscious, doing my own body work and energy work, and resolving and dissolving and completing these potentials and potentiated potentials in me that hadn't fallen back into formless. But I also was doing this for folks all over the world who were having spiritual awakening, folks who were having difficult time in the context of COVID, and just folks in general, really. And I was working with, collaborating with, exploring with, and supporting people who I would consider pioneers in consciousness, people who are playing on the leading edge of what humanity has been up to. And I started convening right as COVID was beginning, maybe week 1. I started convening what we called Possibilities Playgrounds. And so the first one we did was 21 days straight, every day of the week, 21 days, 3 weeks in a row. We met for an hour a day in an agendaless container, a purely emergent container. And we went on a collective journey together for 21 days. Facilitated emergently, meaning we just came together and played with what was happening in the space, playing with what was arising in the now. And what we found was we got access to unbounded creativity and new perspectives, new insights, new orientations, ways of being that would just emerge out of nowhere, really. I mean, we were just accessing a field of creativity and potential much larger than most of us were used to. And that was really exciting. We felt expansive, we felt capable, we felt resourced, we felt empowered, and we felt like, yeah, this is doable. We can do this. We got this, even in the context of COVID. And at the same time, we also had traumas, emotions, processes, heartbreak, sorrow, grief. Gosh, we had a gathering in the Gifts of Grief playground several times that was profoundly beautiful. And so it invited us into wholeness, right? Really seeing the sacredness and the preciousness and the beauty in all of these different experiences, the expansive states and the grief and the loss and the sorrow. And yeah, it was clear that in the calling to support humanity and myself and others in bringing this new future into being, that we were going to need to facilitate from a different place in a different way. And it was going to be unlike anything that I'd ever seen, anything that I was a part of, anything I could find on the planet. I just felt really clear in me we would need an incubator for consciousness that was trauma informed, possibility oriented, and where we could bring together people who hold this vision for humanity, who are embodied examples of the emerging economy, and who are showing up and playing life full out in this moment right now. So we did that. We did exactly that. We created an incubator for consciousness called Light in Action. We lovingly call it a decelerator program. Most incubators are accelerator programs. We invite people to slow down, to speed up. We invite people to slow down and connect to what's most essential. What's most essential in our life. We have an assumption that every human being is born into the world with innate gifts to share in service to others and the planet, and just for the joy of doing so. And we support people in the moment right now. Right? It takes a whole different skill set, supporting people in this moment right now to open up to and embody these gifts more fully, to access what's most essential and emerge that, embody that, be that more fully in this moment. So we call these embodied examples of the emerging economy, because we see the more that we support folks who are doing this work, that this is birthing a whole new way of being on the planet. It's birthing a whole new reality and a whole new economy, a whole new way of doing business. The purpose for everything changes when basic survival needs are met. And so the folks who show up to take part in our incubator and in our programs and our offerings and our weekends are playing this game full out and wanting support. So we did a 2020 cohort for 3 months, and we had a range of projects. You can see how the projects, we call these the seeds for the emerging probabilities. So you can see the emerging probabilities, the vision we had before, and then each person and each project, each team who joins our Light in Action incubator is an embodied example of this future. They are doing the work right here, right now, to bring the future that we're dreaming up together and getting glimpses of together into being in this moment. So we did a cohort in 2022. We start our next one in 2023 in January. If you go to ouremergingfuture.com, you can click on Light in Action and discover more about our incubator. Some pretty incredible things that happen with this incubator. We found investors who were willing to donate money to give grants to people who are pursuing their soul's calling in the world. And we built an incubator for the soul using these different awareness-based technologies, working with people in the moment, trauma aware, trauma informed, supporting people resolving and completing our past so we can be more available for the future. And it was innovative. We emerged a energetics of money call halfway through the collective to support people in relationship with money, and had people connect to and I want to even say become one with the consciousness of money in relationship. And we just have incredible projects. You can see, I'll just point to one. We have a Raising Wholeness, which is supporting teachers and parents and faculty to better understand our stuff so we don't act out our crap on kids. And really the impetus is to support raising children in their essence, in their wholeness, in their essential wholeness. Instead of raising children for who we want them to be and become, it's really, what does this child want to become, and how can we create an ecosystem for a happy and healthy and fulfilled human being to thrive? This is a emerging probability. If you look up here at the top, you can see education all the way on the right. And this is the vision that we all hold for education of the future, what it looks like. And Raising Wholeness is working with schools and parents and faculty in real time. They've got cohorts running. If you want to go to raisingwholeness.org, and join an upcoming cohort. It's a beautiful community and ecosystem of parents and caregivers who are exploring a new way of being in parenting, a new relationship to parenting, and it's bringing the future of education online right now. So I invite you to go to the Light in Action website. It's lightinaction.co, and click the ecosystem tab, and you can check out all these projects more. We also have a request for projects tab on the Light in Action website. Again, that's lightinaction.co. And so you can see projects that we see will be happening in the world that we want to see happen, that we would love for you to apply to the incubator with, if you resonate with one and want to bring it into the world. So we have a lot of these ideas, and we're just sharing them with the world to see if anyone wants to, if anyone feels called to bring it into being. A couple more things I'm going to share, and then we'll be done for now. If anyone's familiar with the mycelium network, the network of mushrooms underneath the earth that support trees and ecosystems and rainforests and communicating and sharing resources, we've created and are creating what we call metacelium. So this is the mycelium network, the support infrastructure to support this meta ecosystem. So what kind of support network beyond the incubator? What kind of resources and technologies and institutions do we need to create to support the supporters of this emerging way of being and of our emerging future? So if you're on ouremergingfuture.com, you can click on metacelium and find out more information here. This is really we're getting into the tectonic plates of being, and how do we organize ourselves and organize our rules of the game in our economies to support the flourishing of all life, the flourishing of humanity, the flourishing of the planet itself in a way that is informed by and infused with nature's wisdom and natural laws. So I highly recommend you check that out. And then finally, I'm just going to share an image of we have several awareness-based and we-space-based technologies that we use in our incubator, Light in Action. We've got one called the Twinkle Field. I mentioned energetics of money. We have another one called WeFlow. You can find out about all of these on the Our Emerging Future website. And we also have one called Unified Fields of Coherence. And I just want to share this image to give a graphic to what I was speaking about in relationship to time. So if you imagine each one of these people here in the middle and all of us sitting in a circle, what we're doing is we're coming together in a pod of awareness, in a field of light in this moment right now, and being available for the old paradigm, the old way of being, the old worldview, the old way of doing things, the old way of doing business, the old way of parenting, all that has gotten us to here, that is not going to make the trip for the next chapter of our unfolding, to fall back into formless, to be resolved, completed, let go of, and liberated into pure potential. And then also for what's wanting to come online, the new paradigm, the new way of being, the new types of businesses, the new worldviews and ways of being in relationship, parenting, doing business to come online, the new paradigm to be born into manifest reality. And so by gathering with people and being present together, we can complete our past and download our future. So that's going to be my talk for now. Told you I wouldn't be more than an hour. Please go to ouremergingfuture.com. You can see emerging probabilities. We're currently traveling the world, convening gatherings. We do weekend gatherings and workshop gatherings. We do dinners where we share this talk and invite people to get together. You can find out about these incubator weekends, events, and gatherings and dinners on ouremergingfuture.com. Check out Emerging Probabilities. If you have a vision, if you read it and get an insight or a download or an awareness or a realization around another thing that might be coming online on the planet right now, I'd love to hear from you and explore the possibility of adding that into our collectively sourced vision for the future. On ouremergingfuture.com, you can find Light in Action and find out more information about the next cohort. which I said we're starting in the beginning of 2023. You can explore Metacelium, Fields of Coherence, WeFlow, and join us. You can apply to the next cohort. You can become an investor. We've got a growing collective of investors who are embodied examples of the future of human capital impact investing, who have a heart of gold and want to bring financial resources to support and resource the folks doing such great work in the world. And we'll put a survey or an onboarding forum or intake forum on here so we can hear from you. I would personally just love to know what you're most passionate about right now. I'd love to know how it is for you to see this talk, what comes alive for you as you're taking this in, and how can we support you? What's happening in your life? Who are you looking to meet right now? And yeah, if there's any way I can support you and we can support you, I'd love to explore what that might look like. So yeah, please reach out, please connect. I'm on all the social medias. And you can call me or email me. I love meeting folks who are feeling called to play this game and bring a new world to being together. It's by far the most fun game that I've ever played in my entire life, and I'd love to play with you. So come play, reach out, connect with us, join us. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you've gotten to here, please share this with anyone who you sense might resonate and want to know what's happening. And I'm excited for whenever the next recording is and get to share the updates and what's unfolded. Okay. Lots of love. Take care. Be well. See you.